What if real lasting transformation happens when we're willing to face our shadows, the messy, uncomfortable parts of ourselves we'd rather not look at? And what if the things we avoid out of fear or shame are actually the treasures that wake us up? I'm Cari Jacobs-Crovetto, executive coach and meditation teacher, and this is Finding Treasures in the Trash. Through raw, unfiltered conversations, I invite you to turn toward what you've disowned and begin integrating it back into the whole beautiful human you were meant to be. Your treasure doesn't always live in the light. Sometimes it's buried in the trash. So, grab your gloves. Let's go dumpster diving. Hi there. It's Cari Jacobs-Crovetto. Welcome to Finding Treasures in the Trash. I'm so glad you're here for episode 3. I'm giving this a working title for now called Making It Real. I've had so many great questions about finding treasures in the trash. Like, it sounds good, I'm ready, but how do I begin? Or what even is this? Am I just looking for trash as I go to work and do my laundry? Or is there some practice that I'm supposed to be doing or some way to approach it? I've had questions like, why would I even dig in my trash? Like, if I have a happy life, why do I want to go muck it up? It's a very good question. So I'm going to be answering those questions. And I'm also very exciting. I'm going to be giving you a 5-step approach. This is a practice that you can do to kick off this idea of really getting in touch with those parts of ourselves that we could call our shadow, or the disowned parts, the parts that are kind of shoved in crevices deep in our body that don't want to be seen, bringing those up to our consciousness, a conscious level, so that we can work with it and heal it. So it's an exciting episode. And I wanted to start by telling you about an amazing artist. Her name is Ruth Asawa, and she is a modern artist. She did a lot in sculpture, and she was doing this really in the 50s and 60s. She's an Asian woman in the 50s and 60s who was kind of breaking boundaries of art, which I find just utterly deserving of respect on that merit alone. But even cooler is she would do these incredible hanging sculptures that were made of just intricate wire designs, where she would take a piece of looped wire and form shapes inside of other shapes, sometimes with one continuous piece of wire. And often they were inspired by nature or organic forms. So they're these beautiful hanging sculptures. And I got a chance to go see her exhibit, and I saw a quote that really stuck with me. And the quote is, "A continuous piece of wire, forms envelop inner forms, yet all forms are visible. The shadow will reveal an exact image of the object." I just loved the metaphor of this quote and her work, because one of the things that she also would do is she would hang these. I mean, when I say they're sculptures, they're 8 feet, 10 feet long, beautiful shaped sculptures. And when hung in front of a white wall, there was also a secondary piece of art that would spring forward behind the sculpture itself. And I'll be posting some pictures of this art on my Instagram. If you're following me, you'll see it there. And if you're not following me, you can. It's Cari, Cari _Jacobs, Jacobs _SF, like San Francisco. And I'll be posting some photos of her work there where you can really see this stunning shapes that she created with this wire. And the reflection, the shadow reflection that would come off the wall almost becomes part of the art. And in some ways, you can't differentiate, if you're standing away from it, where the sculpture is and where the shadow is. If you were to take a picture with like your iPhone, it kind of looks like the shadow has become part of the art piece itself. What a great metaphor for this work, right? Like a continuous piece of wire forms envelop inner forms, yet all forms are visible. The shadow will reveal an exact image of the object. And this, I feel like this says it all around finding treasures in the trash and the work that I call inner truth work, because the idea behind it is that you're not just looking at the exterior wire, right? You're not just looking at even the obvious inner forms inside of the exterior wire, but you're looking for the shadow on the wall. And that whole is what creates the art itself, the art of ourselves. So I wanted to start there because I think that starts to answer the question of like, why do this work? Why do shadow work? Why look for trash? Why put on your gloves and grab your flashlight and go looking inside of yourselves for something that might be painful if you're having a great life, if you're having an easeful life? And here's the truth. There's probably two answers. The first answer is, listen, if you are happy, feeling content, feeling you're meeting your potential, that you're living your life on purpose instead of on autopilot, if you feel like you've grown most of the way, then I would say keep going. Good on you. You know? And if you're like, well, hey, I'm most of those things, but sometimes I bump up against like suppressing my emotions or not saying what I really feel, or sometimes I bump up against saying too much of what I feel or getting into conflict with people, or I'm just wondering sometimes what happiness really is or what life's really about. That's like an easier, like, hey, yeah, maybe you might want to check this out. You might want to look and see by working this practice I'm going to give you to see what's there. And then you might be like the rest of us, right? Which is like, we have really kind of, wavy lives, right? There's moments of great contraction and emotional pain and frustration and not feeling like we're reaching our potential, or family conflict or relationship conflict or parent-child conflict or whatever it is. And we've done therapy, or we're doing therapy, or we're doing breath work and yoga, and some people are experimenting with psychedelics, whatever you're doing, and you're still looking for more. You're looking for more tools to add to the toolbox of healing, more ways to uncover the truth of who you are. And so that third group, that's hopefully like an obvious answer. Like, we're going digging for trash. If we're going to try to figure this out. And in many ways, when people start therapy, right, they're like, okay, I have this problem and I'm looking for a way to solve it. And this isn't necessarily about like going back and healing childhood wounds, although that may come up. This is really about looking like, how am I operating my life today? Where am I truly happy? Where am I unhappy? Where am I feeling shut down or contracted? Or where is something tough? And how can I allow the body to really reveal what it needs to reveal to me? How can I get in more connection with my body to allow it to show me what gems it has, what treasures it has awaiting? So I hope that answers a little bit of the question of like, what is this and why do it? Even if you feel like, your life is running well or great. It's almost like I describe it as we're looking for portals, right? We're looking for places that have often just been neglected, or that we've disowned, or experiences we don't want to deal with. And life may seem fine, right? But deep, 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 deep down, those things are still living inside of us. And they might not be causing even emotional pain, but sometimes it's like, gosh, why does my hip hurt all the time? Or why do I feel numb in my stomach? Or why do I have stomach ache? It's like, for me, I carry a lot of this in my stomach, and I have like acid indigestion, and I know what it is, right? I know I'm not going in and working with it enough when that happens, or that I'm not feeling safe enough. This is why. And inner truth work, which is sort of the approach that I developed, that is kind of the backbone of finding treasures in the trash, has a 5-step practice to it. And this practice is really flexible in that, you could do the practice all in one session. So in fact, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to take you through the 5 steps in one session. You can do it over 5 days, which I'm offering a free meditation called 5 Days to Truth on my YouTube. You can also find it on my website, bravedirections.com. You give me your email and you get this 5 Days to Truth where I break down each one of these steps per day, and you do one per day over 5 days. And then there are also ways to work with this 5-step practice where you're doing it like on a retreat, or you're doing it multiple times a day, where you're really, really working with the content and going into the body, finding treasures in the trash, healing it, bringing it up, excavating it, and working with it. It sounds like a lot, but it's so invigorating. Like if you like healing work and you want to see shifts in your life, new behaviors you can take action on, like, trust me when I tell you this work is transformative. So, what are the 5 steps? So, step 1 is safety, space, and embodiment. We're hearing a lot of nomenclature like, I don't feel so safe, or I'm not safe. When you first hear it, it's like, what does that really mean? But there's a way in which, if we tap into our body more deeply, we can sense and notice if we're feeling at rest, safe, if we're feeling our breathing is slow, our heartbeat is slow, if, we feel like we're expanded and in a creative mind or in an innovative mind. And when we feel that, that's the best time for us to basically create the conditions for us to become more embodied. If you don't feel safe, it's scary. So first and foremost, we want to make sure step 1 is that we're creating safety, we're creating some openness, some space, and we're dropping into the body. If you have meditated with me, either in person or if you've done some online work with me, you know that one of the things that I share often is that most of us live 5 to 10 feet out in front of ourselves. And test this out for yourself. Like when you're walking on the sidewalk, going to work, or when you're walking down the hallway to go check on the kids, or, going out to do your gardening or going into your office, like, are you in your body or are you just out in front of yourself? And even when we're in conversations with each other, like you can almost sense like oftentimes we're doing more listening for when we can speak, but our concentration is usually out on the other person. It's not actually in our bodies. We're not down and in our bodies. And this is most of us. Some of us have never really connected to our bodies. If you're an athlete and you're running or doing a sport, you certainly know what it means to be embodied. But oftentimes, even athletes will do their sport and then leave their body after. Or meditators will meditate on the cushion, do 5 days of meditation retreat. And as soon as they get up off the cushion, boom, they're out of their body within days. So it's hard for us to stay within our body. Everything is pulling us out. Everything. Consumerism, politics, television, addictions, all the things is just pulling us out from our body. And so the first step is really about cultivating safety, cultivating space, and just connecting us back down into ourself, into our body. The second step is then listening to the body, or I like to also call this finding a felt sense. So I kind of borrowed the term felt sense in this context from two sort of prolific people, Eugene Gendlin and Jan Winhall. And those are two people that are doing a lot of work around polyvagal theory. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. I'm going to be talking about it more in the next 9 episodes. But in its simplest form, this is about sort of like the connection to the body around when we feel safe and open and wide and creative, or when we feel fight or flight. So finding a felt sense, this idea of a felt sense, that term was created by these two pioneers. And so in step 2, I like to call it listening to the body or finding a felt sense, because you're going to begin to feel into the body. In step 1, you relaxed, you came a body. Now you're looking. This is where you're getting the flashlight out a little. You're looking for what's between you and ease, or what's between you and feeling okay, feeling fine, feeling good. This is about beginning to sense into the murky places, the sticky places, the darker places of the body. This is about allowing things to come to the surface. Noticing, where do you sense dissonance? Is there an area where, oh, there is this problem that I've been ruminating on? I wish this, or I just constantly have this feeling at work. Is there unfinished business? Is there an old experience that's coming up? Something that's unresolved? Or is there something that's just sitting slightly sideways as you begin to listen to the body and allow it to speak? And it's really magical. The body will show you. Sometimes it shows you in tightness, a stuck throat, a numb belly, numbness in other places. The body begins to speak. And it's really about staying with those parts of the body, those sensations that begin to show up when we actually hang out there for a while. Sometimes this takes a little while. We're going to go through this meditation practice, this focusing practice after the podcast, and I won't have enough time for you to really stay there. But when you do this practice on your own, you just hang out and allow the body to begin to reveal its treasures to you. Third step is called noticing, resonating, and allowing. And this is where we begin to kind of zero in on, okay, what is this really about here? What is this discomfort? What is the story here? And this is about allowing the story to unfold without the mind getting super involved. So, you can kind of sense when things go up into our head and the ego wants to grab and protect you and figure it out. But we're not going to do that. We're going to stay down and in the body and really get what's called a body sense of it. So we're looking into the dark or the stuck places or the sticky places and really allowing the body to feel what it feels and for you to feel what you feel without flinching away from it. Sometimes a picture will come, a strong image, a word, flashes of memory. And then we're just sort of landing. Sometimes you'll bounce around. Is it this, or am I feeling this, or is this problem over here? What about this thing? And I can't pick one. But at this point, you're going to kind of want to say, okay, I think today I'm going to work on this. Now, I will say, for those people who've had extreme trauma, as you're moving from 2 to 3 and you're going into your body further and further, if you start to show signs of dissociation, if you're shutting down, if you are shaking or finding it difficult to concentrate or feeling nervous or nauseous or sick, stop. You've done enough already. You can come out of the practice and you can work with whatever material was shown. There's this healthy balance between pushing past and then pushing too far. So we want to push a little bit, right? But we don't want to push. We want to push a little bit so that we can crack through our own conditioning and our own narratives and our own sort of body stuckness. But we certainly do not want to push past a comfort zone, especially when we're dealing with trauma. If you're not dealing with trauma, I'll leave it up to you how much you want to do on something. However, I would say then you could push. But if there's any notes of trauma, just stop. So once you have your one piece of content, your one problem, your one topic, we'll move to step 4, and that's expansion. And expanding is now about really expanding and defining the felt and direct experience in the body, or asking it what it wants. What does it need? What is it feeling? What's bad about it? Why do you want it to leave? Why do you want it to stay in hiding? What are you in resistance to? You're looking at its language. Does it speak? Does it have a shape? And mostly, what needs to be healed here? What needs to be seen or addressed? And if this is a shadow or something that you feel shame over, maybe you're even getting really honest with yourself, like, okay, this is something I really need to look at. So you're really rating again for a feeling from the body. You want to resist answering from the mind. And then number 5 is gratitude, integration, and acceptance. So this is where we're really coming into depth of like, first of all, thank you, right? Thank you for showing yourself, for being seen. You know, when we can really unpack something in this way, we can become more intimate. I work a lot with my clients. My clients might come to me and say, you know, I'm having this problem, right? I'm having a conflict where I'm feeling really unseen in the room. And we'll take them through this process, and there's this unseen part becomes unearthed, and we start working with it. Maybe we give it a word or a name while we're doing a focused meditation. And I'll even have them write about it, journal from the first person from this experience. Because the closer and more intimate we bring ourselves into the parts of ourselves we don't want to be close to, or that we want to disown or disregard or not look at, the more intimate, the more power we have over it, right? The more we can integrate it, the more we can name it, the more we can work with it. No one is perfect. No one's getting out of here for free when it comes to the perfect train. That's just true. Right? So why not look at the parts of ourselves that are shadowy and just be able to name that? You know, it's my yin yang, right? Here's my yin, here's my yang. And so this is where we're really owning it, thanking it for being seen, meeting it, and then integrating it. And integration kind of moves even after you come out of the practice. So sometimes, you know, you may want to journal, or you may want to draw, or you may want to do some movement. When you're doing my free 5 days to truth, after each day, we do like a 20-minute meditation, 20-ish, and then I come out and I have you do a little exercise. And it's usually some kind of writing or some kind of just moving from the state of sort of the unconscious and allowing wisdom to come up from the body and putting something down now into the real world so that we can begin to like make it real, make it even more real. So those are the 5 steps. And again, like I said, you can do them in one session. You can do them over 5 days. You can do them in retreat. You can put them on a repeat and just work with some material again and again and again. And I promise you that I have seen the deepest transformation in my life with this work. You may have heard me say that my personal mantra is I'm constantly, and by constantly, I mean constantly, I'm constantly revealing the truth of myself to myself. I'm constantly revealing the truth of myself, the truth about myself, about who I am to myself, because I want to know. I want to know the great parts. I want to know the shitty parts. I want to know all of it. I just want to know. And not so that I can like bumble around in my own stuff, but so that I can be a better person, so that I can meet others, so that I can meet life in a way that feels more authentic and more whole and more complete. So, my friends, I sincerely hope that this episode has made it a little more real for you. And we're going to move into doing this 5-step practice as a meditation now. So we'll have just a few minutes of silence, and then we'll move into the meditation. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who tunes in and listens. Much, much magic and meta. I'm Cari Jacobs-Crovetto. You can find me at bravedirections.com, where you can sign up for a coaching session or get my free 5 days to truth meditation. You can also follow me on Instagram at Cari_Jacobs_SF. Stay tuned for the meditation. So we'll begin by taking a comfortable seat. And you will want to be sitting up for this. You don't want to be lying down. And that's mostly because we're really looking to run the energy along the nervous system, along the spine. And I always think it's so interesting that the humans before us knew what the nervous system was, right? They created the chakra system. And they somehow knew that there were these like points of resonance all along the spine, all the way up to the top of the head. And they called it the chakra system. And now we know it's like the nervous system and they match. It's really phenomenal. And so, what we're really trying to do when we're sitting in meditation versus lying down is we're allowing that spine to move freely so that the energy can move up the spine. The energy could also go down into the earth when you're laying down, but for this particular practice, we want to be sitting. So, you'll sit. You can either sit on a cushion on the floor in cross-legged position. You can sit on a chair. If you're sitting in a chair, you want to cross your legs at your ankles or just put both feet on the floor. For your hands, you can place one hand on either knee, or you can just lie your hands one inside of the other. What you don't want to do is like interlock your fingers. We want to keep the energy flowing. And then whenever you're ready, closing your eyes, and just beginning to notice where you're at. Where's your body? How far are you in it? How's your body feeling? And you might notice that the concentration immediately goes to the head or the throat as your body. Or you might notice that it stops kind of halfway down the chest. It gives you a good indication of how far down in your body you're sitting. If you're someone who has embodiment practices, you might already be all the way down to your feet. We're just noticing as step one. And just beginning to feel the largest muscles of your body, feeling into them, the legs, the thighs, the quads, the calves, the back muscles, the neck, the arms, the abs. Feeling into those muscles and just noticing they're feeling relaxed, they're feeling tight. There's kind of a mixture. And just offering them some ease and some openness. Sending the breath inside each of these muscles. And you can just take your time going through the body at your own decision to where you want to go, and just offering each muscle the gift of breath. Noticing the muscles that receive you, noticing the muscles that might push back. And once you've gone through most of the body, meeting each muscle with the breath, putting the focus point on both nostrils at the same time as you breathe in and allow the air to pass your nostrils and touching the back of the throat down to your heart space. And just doing that a couple of times. And the breath almost becomes circular, coming in through the nostrils, touching the back of the throat, going down to the heart, and then coming out again through the heart space back into the nostrils. On the next inhale, inhaling through your nostrils, touching the back of the throat, pulling the breath down past the heart, past the solar plexus, the upper abdomen and the lower abdomen, just touching each as you go, as you're dropping and pouring yourself back into your body. Noticing what might be here as you make your way down on the next inhale through your nostrils, the back of the throat, the heart, the upper abdomen, the lower, and all the way down the thighs, the calves, pouring yourself all the way down into your feet, into your 10 toes, allowing the whole body to breathe. Again, just noticing where you are and asking yourself, am I safe? Do I feel safe? Do I feel open to receive? Do I feel spacious? You can keep practicing with the muscles and practicing with the breath until you get a mostly yes. Move on to step 2, listening to the body. So as you're now down and in the body, really searching for that felt sense. Asking the body to lead the way, sensing into the murky places, the dark, the sticky, the numb, the painful. Just asking the body, what's between you and feeling fine? What's between me and feeling fine? What's between me and ease? Can you sense into the dissonance of one thing, of one part of the body that's speaking to you? Perhaps sensing into a part of the body that might be feeling tight or stuck or numb or anxious. Sometimes I'll just see swirling images of brown and black and I'll just go there. And really asking the body to speak to you if there's one area, one thing, one problem, one unseen, disowned piece or part or experience, unfinished business, something sitting sideways or something unresolved. Can you share that with me? Can it speak from the body? If we were doing this for a little longer, you might take some time to really allow the body to speak and get clear. And as you do, you're kind of zoning in as we move into step 3, noticing, resonating, and allowing. This is where we're really allowing this sort of one problem, one piece of context, one experience, allowing that piece, that part to come forward and for the story to unfold. And we're doing this without the mind getting involved. So we're just sensing into it. It's really like a body sense. You're feeling into the discomfort or the lack of clarity or the lack of resolution, and you're sensing the whole of it. WHOLE, the whole thing. What is this here? What is this one story? You're going to want to pick and stay with one and feel what you feel. Feel what you feel without flinching. Maybe pictures or images or memories will flash. Maybe a word. And again, you're just resisting the mind. The mind really wants to protect us, and we'll thank it for that. But we'll say, it's not your turn right now. I'm here, listening to the body, in my nervous system, in my body voice, in my soul voice. If you're somebody who's had extreme trauma or has extreme PTSD and you start to feel shaky or nauseous or like you're shutting down or going dark, just stop. Stop and work with what's been revealed so far. There's no reason to put yourself into dissociation or into further trauma. Now we're moving into step 4, expansion. So this is where you're really beginning to work with your one thing, asking itself, what do you need? What do you want? Asking what's bad about it. What makes it wrong? Or pushed out? Or pushed down? What is it making you feel? Where does it feel in resistance? And to what? Does it speak or does it have a shape? Most importantly, what needs to be healed or seen here? What needs to be resolved? What needs to be met? We're waiting for a feeling from the body, resisting answering from the mind. And again, if we had more time, we would stay here for a while and just be with it, become more intimate, checking out its texture, its story, its meaning, what it wants, why it's here. When it shows up in negative ways that are harmful, when it shows up, when it's suppressed. And when you're ready, moving to step 5, which is gratitude, acceptance, and integration. The first part of this step is just really sitting in gratitude and thankfulness. Thank you for showing yourself. Thank you, body, for allowing opening. Thank you for bringing the flashlight, that flashlight that looks for the trash, and allowing that light to shine into something that I needed to see, that needed to be felt, that wants to come forward, the truth of myself to myself. Thank you. Now I can work with you. Now I can be with you. I'm not going to push you away. I'm really protecting this vulnerable experience from your inner critic, or the part of you that wants to kind of criticize yourself. Instead, holding it with compassion and love and healing. And slowly, while keeping your eyes closed, beginning to orient to the room, maybe feeling your seat on the chair or the cushion, seeing yourself sitting from the outside in. Taking a breath and coming into contact with the back of the neck. Slowly cracking your eyes open just the tiniest bit while keeping the attention on the back of the neck. This will help you stay down and in your body. Slowly, slowly opening your eyes and coming back to the room around you. And at this point, you can really take this integration component a little further. Maybe you feel like doing an expressive movement. Maybe you feel like writing on a journal or drawing what you felt or saw. The idea is to really stay with this for a few days. Maybe you want to do this whole practice again. I've worked with material for a year or two. Sometimes it clears and I feel like it's really integrated within a month. But the idea is to really continue to mine this trash, right? To turn it into compost, to feed it back into your spirit, to allow yourself to shine, and to shine with all of the imperfections. We're not going to be like, what is it, like I don't know, I don't even know what it's called, like a AAA diamond with like no, like a V1 or something, VS1. We're going to be like the diamond that's like got a little roughed up. That's just okay. So continuing to work with that. And with that, meditation is over. You can find more at 5 Days to Truth, or follow me on Instagram for more teachings and to really begin to practice inner truth work. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for spending time with me and for having the courage to listen inward. If you'd like to continue the journey, you can find me at bravedirections.com, and there you can sign up for my newsletter and something really exciting. If you're ready to begin exploring your own inner terrain, I've created something called 5 Days to Truth. It's a complimentary 5-day meditation journey that helps you start gently digging into your own trash and discovering what's there waiting for you. So until we meet again, be kind to yourself and trust what's emerging, because inside the muck lives the gold.
Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to a Magic Thread Media podcast.